Hello everyone. In today's video lecture, we are going to discuss about the spectrum of atoms, or simply saying atomic spectra. Now before starting with atomic spectra, let's have a brief idea about what is spectrum and what are the different types of spectra that we use in chemistry, and what is the main spectra that we use for identifying different types of atoms. So first, coming to this spectra, now as we have seen in this Bohr's atom, electrons are revolving around the nucleus in certain circular orbits known as stationary orbits. As long as the electron is moving in this circular orbit, electron does not lose any electron. And one of the postulates of this theory also says, when an atom absorbs or radiates energy, this always absorption or emission is in the form of electromagnetic radiation. That means when energy is supplied to an atom, electrons may be excited from a lower level to higher level. So the higher level being the higher energy is less stable, so electrons may try to come from this higher level to lower levels. So during this excitation process, energy is absorbed by this electron and is excited from lower level to higher level. The energy will be absorbed, but this higher level being unstable, so immediately electron will try to lose, and this electron will come from higher level to lower level. So during this de-excitation process, energy will be released. So absorption and emission, in both the case, energy is released or absorbed in the form of electromagnetic radiation. So since this energy's absorption or radiation takes place in the form of electromagnetic radiation, depending on the frequencies absorbed or the frequencies released, we can observe a distinct line, and each line representing a particular frequency involved. So this is what we call as the spectrum. So we have to observe the frequencies observed or the frequencies released. Depending on the type of spectrum, we will have a different arrangement or different distinct lines, and each distinct line will represent a particular atom. So from this we can easily identify the atoms. So we have this spectrum. So let me just give you the spectrum first. So spectrum, basically the spectrum is broadly classified into two. One is known as absorption spectra, the other one is known as emission spectra. So now let's see what is the basic difference between these two. Now in absorption spectra, electron is excited from lower level to higher level. Lower level to higher level. So when electron is transferred from lower level to higher level, so energy must be supplied to the system or absorption of energy takes place. So electron is transferring from lower level to higher level. Suppose this is N1 to N2. N2 is higher than N1. So this is higher level, this is lower circular orbit. Now we are transferring electron from lower to higher level. So during this process, energy must be absorbed. So absorption of energy. So this absorption of energy must be in the form of electromagnetic. So in absorption of energy takes place. So how much energy is to be transferred? So that is equals to delta E, that is energy of electron in N2 level minus energy of electron in N1. So this absorption of energy is in the form of electromagnetic radiation, which is known as h nu, or we can say h c by lambda. So during the transferring of electrons from this lower level to the higher level, this much amount of energy must be supplied to the system. So on supplying this energy means we are supplying this energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation having frequency nu or wavelength lambda. Electrons will be excited from lower level to higher level. So during this process, this frequency will be absorbed. As the frequency is absorbed, that frequency will be missing in the spectrum because वहाँ पे खाली दिखाई देगा, because already this frequency or the wavelength has been completely absorbed by the atom for excitation of electrons from lower level to the higher level. तो जब आप spectrum मिलेंगे तो वहाँ पे dark lines मिलेगा. So these dark lines means some frequency is missing. So that missing frequency is the frequency that has been absorbed by the atom for excitation process. So this frequency absorbed or the wavelength absorbed will be missing and absorbed frequency or the wavelength will be missing and it appears as dark lines. So this means we are just observing the frequencies, which frequencies are being absorbed by the atom during this excitation process. So in absorption frequency, we are measuring the frequencies absorbed or the wavelength absorbed by the system when it undergoes excitation from lower level to the higher level. The frequencies observed will be missing in the spectrum and this will appear as a dark line. Now on the other hand, instead of this absorption, first electron is transferring from lower level to higher level, then the higher level being one having more energy is being less stable, so immediately electron will try to comes from the higher level to lower level. So in this emission, electron is coming from higher level, that is known as excited state, to lower level. So electron is coming from excited state to the lower level. So we say, look at this, electron is coming from N2 to N1. N2 is higher level, which is known as excited state. Now electron is coming from higher orbit or the higher level to the lower level. So during this process, energy is emitted. Emission of energy. So in the first case, energy was absorbed because electron is transferring from lower level to higher level. In the second case, electron is coming from higher level to lower level, so energy is emitted or energy is released. Now this, how much energy will be released, that is again equivalent to the difference between this energy level. So this is equals to E2 minus E1. So this difference is in the form of electromagnetic radiation having frequency nu or wavelength lambda. So this is the frequency absorbed, this is wavelength absorbed, this is frequency radiated or emitted, this is radiated. So in the second case, the frequency is radiated, means some energy is being released or the frequency or the wavelength is released. When we observe the spectrum, the radiated frequency radiated or wavelength radiated will appear as a bright line, will appear as a bright line. So now look at this. In the second case, the frequency radiated or the wavelength radiated will appear as a bright line. So in the spectrum, a bright line will be observed. So that bright line represents a particular frequency that has been radiated, or the wavelength that has been radiated when electron is coming from the excited level to the ground state. So if you look at this, these types of absorption can be used to identify the unknown atom, either by observing absorption spectrum or by observing emission spectrum. So if you look at this, in the absorption, electron is transferring from lower to higher level. In the emission, electron is coming from excited level, higher level to lower level. Absorption of energy takes place for excitation. In the emission of electron, energy is released when electron is coming from higher to lower level. During the absorption, frequency or wavelength is absorbed, and that will be completely missing in the spectrum, and it appears as a dark line. On the other hand, during the emission, energy is released, or frequency or wavelength release will appear as a bright line. So if you look at this, these two, if you are comparing these two, absorption spectrum and emission spectrum, these are like photographic plates. Photographic film. Like now look at, in all days we used to have negatives. So if you are wearing white shirt, in negative this will appear as a black, or if you are wearing black shirt, then in photographic film will appear it as a white. So this is something like photographic films. One is absorption, dark lines or lines will be missing. On the other hand, we have emission, in lines will be appear as a bright line. So this is the two types of spectrum, and this spectrum, look at this, is basically based on this absorption or emission of light in the form of electromagnetic radiation. So in atomic spectra that we are going to take up based on this Bohr's theory, that is this explanation of hydrogen spectrum, because we are dealing with hydrogen spectrum, which is hydrogen atom, which is the simplest atom containing only one electron. So Bohr's theory basically deals with one electron species. So we are going to discuss the spectrum of hydrogen. So in that we are going to use emission spectrum. We are going to focus on emission spectrum. So without wasting our time, let's start with this emission spectrum, or the spectrum of hydrogen or hydrogen-like system. Starting with spectrum of hydrogen atom. So this spectrum is nothing but the emission spectrum. So during this emission, clear, distinct, bright lines will be observed. Since a clear, distinct, bright lines are observed, we say that this spectrum of hydrogen is also known as line spectrum, because of the appearance of a clear, distinct lines in the spectrum, and each line corresponding to a particular frequency or a particular wavelength that has been released when electron is coming from the excited level to the ground state. So we have this line spectrum. So now look at this, electron is coming from N2 to N1. So this is known as de-excitation, as I have told you. N2 is the higher level, N1 is the lower level. So electron is coming from the excited state to any lower level. So now during this process, as I told you, energy is released, and this energy release is in the form of electromagnetic radiation. So this is Hc, that is h nu, which is equals to the energy difference between these two, E2 minus E1. So how much energy will be released, that is equals to the difference in the energy between these two levels. So energy of the electron in N2 is, suppose this is En2, energy at N1 is En1. So energy difference must be in the form of electromagnetic radiation. So now look at this, we have this h nu is equals to h. So let's have a look at this, hc by lambda, because we have this relationship, nu is equals to c by lambda. Now we have this relationship, that is we have this energy equation from Bohr's theory. So this energy is equals to E into minus 2 pi square m k square z square e to the power 4 divided by n2 square h square. This is energy of electron in N2 level minus of this value. So minus 2 pi square m k square z square e to the power 4 divided by n1 square h square. So now look at this. On simplification, we get this. We can take out this common factor 2 pi square m k square z square e to the power 4 divided by h square. So we have look at this. This is positive, this is negative. So we can have look at this 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. Now if you look at this, for hydrogen atom, Z is equals to 1. So if you look at this 1 by lambda, which is also defined as wave number, because already we have discussed in during electromagnetic radiation. So this can be written as 2 pi square m k square z square e to the power 4 divided by c h cube 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. So if you look at this, n1 is the final state जहाँ पे इलेक्ट्रॉन फाइनली रेस्ट किया, n2 इज द इनिशियल स्टेट जहाँ से इलेक्ट्रॉन दी एक्साइटेशन शुरू किया. नाउ इफ यू लुक एट दिस इक्वेशन वेरी केयरफुली, दिस 1 by wavelength or known as wave number. Now all these terms, look at this 2 pi m k e c h, all these are constants. So if you look at this constant is equal to a value known as Rydberg constant RH into Z square 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. So this equation, this final equation will be used for the calculation of the frequency or the wave number or the wavelength of the line that is being emitted when an electron is coming from any excited level to the ground state for this hydrogen spectrum. What is RH? RH is known as Rydberg constant, and it has got value 1.1 into 10 to the power 7 meter inverse, and the equation is known as Rydberg equation. So we have this Rydberg equation. So if you look at this Rydberg equation, this 2 pi square m k square e to the power 4 divided by c h cube is defined by a constant which is known as Rydberg constant, whose value is 1.1 into 10 to the power 7 meter inverse, and the equation is known as the Rydberg equation. So when an electron is coming from any excited level N2 to any lower level, energy release will be released, and that release will be corresponding to some frequency or wavelength, and so we can use this equation to find the wave number or the wavelength of the emitted line. So this is the main equation that we are going to use for the calculation of wave number of the frequency. So if you look at this, if we multiply this equation A, multiplying equation A by C, that is speed of light, we get C by lambda. So C by lambda is equals to the frequency. So this equals to RH C Z square 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. So once we have this wave number, we can also define the frequency. Just we have to multiply this by C, that is known as the frequency. So this is another modified form of this Rydberg equation. So more commonly we are going to use this Rydberg equation. So depending on the values of N1 to the final state in which electron is being arrested, we can have different series. So let's start with the series of lines. So this series of line is based on the value of n1, based on the value of n1. So depending on the value of n1, we can have different series, and this series will have different frequencies, and it will have different like spectrum. Some of this may be in ultraviolet, some of this may be in visible, some of this may be in infrared. So we are going to discuss this. So the first series is known as Lyman series. So this Lyman series, this is the series in which the frequencies emitted lies in ultraviolet radiation. Lyman series lies in ultraviolet region, UV, ultraviolet of the electromagnetic spectrum. So for this Lyman series, the value of n1 will always be 1, that is the lowest possible state. If electron is coming from any excited level to the ground state, so n equals to 1, this is also known as ground state. So if electron is coming from any level to the ground state, then this is known as Lyman series, and all these transition will lie in ultraviolet radiation. And n2 will be any value greater than 1. So we can have 2, 3, 4, etc. So depending on this, now look at this, we can modify this equation. Okay, from this Rydberg equation, we have look at this 1 by wavelength of this Lyman series. So let's say Lyman series. This is equals to RH Z square. Why I am using this Z square? Because for any other one electron species will have this. For hydrogen, this will be equals to 1. So RH Z square. So 1 by n1. So n1 is equals to 1. So we have 1 by 1 square is 1 minus 1 by n. So I just replace this n2 by n. So we have, look at this. This is RH Z square 1 minus 1 by n square. So this is for Lyman series. So all these frequencies will lie in ultraviolet. So this series is what we call as Lyman series. Now, as we have actually, this lies in ultraviolet. So now in terms of energy, the ultraviolet energy of ultraviolet radiation is greater than visible. Visible is greater than infrared. If you look at this electromagnetic spectrum that we have discussed earlier. So now look at this will be in high energy transition. Now this series, or every series that we are going to discuss, we can classify this series into first line, second line, third line. So first line, so now look at this. These are some of the terms that we are going to often use. First line of transition. This is for Lyman series. For this, it will be applicable for any transition, any series. First line. This first line is also known as alpha line. So for first line, alpha line, the value of n2 will always be equals to n1 plus 1. Now look at this, we are having the first line, means which is also known as alpha line. The alpha line or the first line, the value of n2 will always be equals to n1 plus 1. So now for this Lyman series, this n1 is 1, so n2 for the first transition will, or alpha line will be 1 plus 1, that is 2. Now the first line is also known as line of minimum energy minimum transition. So now look at this, the first line or the alpha line is also known as minimum energy transition. There is lowest energy transition for any series will be known as alpha line or the first line, or this is minimum energy. Now if the energy is minimum, then the frequency will be minimum, because energy is directly proportional to the frequency, or the minimum frequency transition, that is known as the first line or alpha line. If frequency is minimum, then the wavelength will be maximum. So maximum wavelength transition, or the minimum frequency transition, or the minimum energy transition, that is nothing but the first line of transition or the alpha line. So for this first line or alpha line, we have N2 is equals to N1 plus 1. So therefore 1 by wavelength of this first line Lyman series is equals to RS Z square, because N1 is 1 here, so 1 plus 1 2, so we have, look at this, 1 minus 1 by 2 square is 4, so this is equals to 3 by 4 times RH Z square. So this is the first line of Lyman series. So the first line is known as alpha line. Then look at this, second line. Second line is known as beta line. So for this second line, N2 is equals to N1 plus 2. So, and now look at, similarly we can have third line. Third line is known as gamma line. So for this gamma line, N2 will be equals to N1 plus 3, or we can have, look at this, fourth line or delta line. For this, N2 is equals to N1 plus 4 is the same. Fifth line, N1 plus 5. Now going in this way, then we have, now look at this term which is known as last line. Last line is the line in which the value of N2 is equals to infinity. So electron is coming from infinity to the ground state. So this last line means N2 is equals to infinity. So this line is also known as line of maximum energy. So if energy is maximum, frequency will be maximum, or the wavelength will be minimum. So minimum frequency, maximum frequency, or the minimum, the least value of wavelength transition, that is known as the last line, and the energy maximum line, which is having N2 equals to infinity. So for this last line, so 1 by wavelength last of Lyman series, this will be equals to RH Z square. So 1 minus 1 by N2 is equals to infinity. So this comes out to be RH Z square. So the last line transition, this is the last line transition. So this is Lyman series. So any series in which electron is coming from any of the excited state to the ground state, that is known as the Lyman series, and this always lies in ultraviolet. Now look at this. Moving from this first to second to third to fourth or to last, energy increases. Energy of the transition increases. As the energy of the transition increases, obviously frequency will also increases. The first line is always the minimum, the last line is always the maximum. So it means moving from first to second to third, energy of the transition increases. As the energy increases, frequency also increases, but the wavelength will decrease. So this is Lyman series. Second series, this is known as Balmer series. Balmer series. Balmer series, the radiated frequency or the wavelength, this lies in visible region. So the only series that lies in visible spectrum is Balmer series. Now for this Balmer series, the value of N1 is always a constant, that is 2. So electron is coming from any level to the first excited state. First excited state. If electron is returning from any of the other excited state to the first excited state, that frequency will always lies in visible, and that region series is what we call as Balmer series. So now look at this. For this, N1 is always a 2, and the value of n2 is any value greater than 2. So we can have 3, 4, 5, etc. So if this is the case, then from this Rydberg equation we have 1 by wavelength, that is for Balmer series, this is equals to RH Z square 1 by n1, so n1 is 2, so 1 by 2 square minus 1 by n square, so this n is nothing but the n2 which can have any value greater than 2. So we have look at this as RH Z square 1 by 4 minus 1 by n square. So this is the Balmer series. Now look at this, again look at this force line. We have this force line, so force line is nothing but the alpha, or the line of minimum energy, or that is frequency minimum or wavelength maximum. So for this number is force line, 1 by lambda force of Balmer series will be equals to this RHZ square. Now look at this. For this force line, as I told you, this N2 is equals to N1 plus 1. So N1 is 2 here, so 2 plus 1 will be 3. So that means 1 by 4 minus 1 by 9. N1 is 2, N2 is 3 here, so 1 by 9. So if you look at simplify this, 5 by 36 times RHZ square. So this is the first line of the Balmer series. Similarly, now look at this, we can have second line, third line, fourth line. Second line is known as beta line, third line is known as gamma line, fourth line is known as delta line. The last line when N2 is equals to this infinity, energy maximum, frequency maximum, minimum. So this equals to 1 by 4 minus, so this is RHZ by 4. So now look at this, again I am emphasizing here, moving from the first to second to third, energy increases, wavelength decreases, or the frequency of transition increases. As this transition increases, intensity of transition also decreases. So as the transition increases, intensity will decrease. So this is second line, that is Balmer series. After this Balmer series, we have the third line, that is known as Paschen series. So I'll just rub this. The third series is known as Paschen series. Paschen series. So this Paschen series lies in near infrared region of the electromagnetic spectrum. So Paschen series lies in infrared, near infrared. N1 for this Paschen series is always 2, so 3. So N1 3 means this is second excited state. So electron is coming from any level to the second excited state. So the N2 can be 4, 5, 6, etc. So for this Paschen series, equation can be modified as this is 3 square, this is n square, so this comes out to be 9 here. Then again the first line, that is alpha, minimum energy, maximum frequency or minimum, so maximum wavelength or minimum frequency. So N2 is N1 plus 1, so N1 is here पे 3, so 3 plus 1 is 4. So the first line of the Paschen series is 9, 16. So this is the first line. So on simplification we will get a certain values here. So we now look at this second, third, fourth as it is. Last line, we will modify this equation here. This is infinity, this is 9. So this comes out to be RHZ square by line. This is the last line. So again look at this intensity decreases from first to second to third to fourth. Then the fourth series, that is known as bracket series. So this is Paschen series which lies in infrared, that is known as near infrared region, for which N1 is 3, N2 is any value greater than 3. Then the fourth series is bracket series. Bracket series, again this lies in infrared, so this is mid-infrared, middle infrared region. Paschen series lies in near infrared, bracket series lies in mid-infrared region. N1 is 4 here, and this is third excited state, and N2 will be values greater than 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. So the weight number for this bracket series is, we have this, so N1 being 4, so we have 1 by 4 square is 16, N2 is any value greater than 4. The first line, again look at this, N2 is equals to N1 plus 1, so N1 is 4, so 4 plus 1 is equals to 5. So we have this equation, this is 4 square is 16, 5 square is 25. So this is the first line of bracket series. So we have again second line, third line, fourth line, last line. So the last line of this bracket series is 1 by 16. So this is 16. 4 square is 16. So this is the bracket series. So if you look at this, all this almost similar. We are just using the equation, that is Rydberg equation. And the fifth series, that is known as Pfund series. PFUND, Pfund series. This series lies in infrared. So we say this is far infrared region. This lies in far infrared. So the last three, Pfund series, bracket series, Paschen series, lies in infrared. So N1, the value of N1 is 5. So 5 means this is the fourth excited state. Electron is coming to the fourth excited state from any values greater than 5, that is 6, 7, 8, etc. So the Pfund series, weight number for Pfund series, that is 5 square. 5 square is 25 here. The first line, that is 6. So we have 25, 6 is 36. So this is the first line of Pfund series. Similarly, we have second line, third line, fourth line, and the last line of this Pfund series, we have this 1 by 25. So we say this is 25. So now look at it, these are the various series that we have observed for hydrogen spectrum. Apart from this, we also have another series that is not in the syllabus, so we are going to skip that part. So we have this basically 5 series. So if you look at this 5 series, the pattern is almost same, and in all this case we are using the Rydberg equation. The only difference is the final state in which electron rests, that is the value of N1. So depending on the values of N1, we can have different types of series, and each series has got different energies and different spectrum. So this is spectrum of hydrogen atom. Now look at this being the spectrum of hydrogen. So if suppose a question says, when an electron is coming from any excited level to the lower level, how many energy transitions will be possible? So let's say maximum number of lines observed. Maximum number of lines possible when an electron jumps from N2 to N1, means N2 is greater than N1. When an electron is coming from any higher level to the lower level, how many maximum distinct lines will be possible, maximum length that will be observed. So this is given by a formula which is known as summation of N2 minus N1, which is known as summation of delta N. So let me give you an example. Like this. Suppose electron N2 is suppose 4 and N1 is 1. So electron is coming from 4th level to the ground level. So when electron is coming from 4th level to the ground level, the maximum lines possible, maximum transitions or maximum lines, this is equals to summation of N2 minus N1. N1 2 is 4, 4 minus 1. So this is equals to summation of 3. 4 minus 1 is 3. So this is 3 plus 2 plus 1. So we have total 6 lines is possible. So this is the meaning of the summation of N2 minus N1, which is the maximum number of lines that could be observed when electron is coming from any higher level to the lower level. Okay, this is the diagrammatic representation of the spectral series that we have discussed so far. So we have the 5 series: Lyman series, Balmer series, Paschen series, Brackett series and Pfund series. So Lyman series, ultraviolet radiation, final N1 is 1, so we have this Rydberg equation. Balmer series, that lies in the visible spectrum, N1 equals to 2, so we have Rydberg equation. Paschen series, Brackett series, Pfund series, all these rise in infrared region. This is near infrared, Paschen, mid infrared, Brackett, Pfund series, far infrared. N for Paschen is N1 is 3, Brackett is 4, Pfund is 5. So we have looked at this. So this represents the orbits, various energy level. Though I am having here as a straight line, so this is just for understanding. This is circular. So this is the ground state, N1 equals to 1. If N1 is equals to 2, we say this is the second excited state. N equals to 3, second excited state. N equals to 4, third excited, 4 excited, 5th excited. So this is the meaning of the different excited states. So if I say the 5th excited state, means N is 6 here. So now look at this. The first excited state to the ground state for this Lyman series. Lyman series, the first excited state to the ground state, this is known as alpha line. Second excited state to the ground state, this is known as beta line. Third excited state to the ground state, this is known as gamma line. Similarly for this Balmer series, now look at this, electron is coming to the first excited state. So if electron is coming from 3 to 1, that is 3 to 1 transition, this is known as alpha, 4 to 1 beta, 5 to 1 delta, gamma. So this is the meaning of alpha line, beta line. So in all this case, the alpha line is the one having minimum energy transition or the minimum frequency or the maximum wavelength. And the maximum is, look at this, if n equals to infinity, electron is coming from infinity to that particular level, that is known as the highest energy transition or the known as series limit or the last line of transition. So this is the hydrogen spectrum that we have observed. So this spectrum is applicable to all one electron species, the ones containing only one electron, that is hydrogen or hydrogen-like species. So this is hydrogen spectrum. So this is all about Bohr's theory. Now this Bohr's theory though explains various phenomena which was the objection raised to the Rutherford theory. Apart from this also has got some limitations. So let me just tell you the limitations or the demerits of the Bohr's theory. Coming to the limitations of Bohr's theory, as we have told you earlier, this theory cannot explain spectra of multi-electron system. Cannot explain multi-electron system That means Bohr's theory is applicable only for one electron species. applicable only for one electron species containing one electron, that is hydrogen, helium plus, lithium 2 plus, beryllium 3 plus, boron 4 plus, or we can say it is sodium 10 plus, etc. So those species containing only one electron, for those species we can use this Bohr's theory. If the system contains or the species contains more than one electron, then Bohr's theory fails here. Second demerits of this Bohr's theory is, now Bohr's consider these electrons as the particles. So based on this particle nature of electron, he explained all the phenomena. Now look at this in the later part of this. After this Bohr's, this says electron also shows dual properties, that is the wave nature as well as the particle nature. So those demerits can be explained by use of this wave nature. So Bohr's did not consider dual nature. Consider dual nature of electron, that is particle and the wave property. So because Bohr's considered electrons only to be having particle nature, and he could not consider the wave nature of electron, but in reality electron shows dual nature, that is particle nature as well as wave nature. So this is one case, dual nature was totally ignored by Bohr's. Now while discussing the spectra, he says that there is a clear distinct line whether this electron is moving from lower level to higher level or higher level to lower level corresponding to a particular frequency. Now when this single line is placed in high resolution field like electric field or magnetic field, this single line is consist of a number of subline, means this single line undergoes splitting into number of line. So this splitting of single line in electric field or the magnetic field could not be explained by this line. So that is Zeeman spec. Zeeman spec, Zeeman effect, splitting of lines in magnetic field. That means when the single line is placed in strong magnetic field, the single line undergoes splitting into number of lines. So this is what they call as Zeeman effect. So this Zeeman effect could not be explained by Bohr's. Similarly, look at this. We have Stark effect. So this is splitting of single line in electric field. So when this single line is placed in an electric field, strong electric field, again this line undergoes splitting into number of lines. So this Zeeman effect and the Stark effect cannot be explained, could not be explained from Bohr's theory. So Bohr's theory cannot explain why this single line undergoes splitting when this is placed in electric field or magnetic field. Splitting in magnetic field is known as Zeeman effect, splitting in electric field is known as Stark effect. So this could not be explained. Now the fourth demerit of this theory, while deriving this Bohr's theory, we have number of derivation, and we say when electron is moving in a particular fixed orbit having a fixed energy, we can exactly define the exact location and the momentum of the electron. So but in reality says, Heisenberg uncertainty principle says, for such a small particle like subatomic particles electron, the exact position and the exact location and the momentum of electron cannot be measured accurately simultaneously. If one is accurate, the other one will be inaccurate. So does not comes in agreement with uncertainty principle. Does not agree with Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So means the exact position and the momentum cannot be measured simultaneously. Exact position and momentum cannot be measured accurately and simultaneously. That means if momentum is 100% accurate, then position will be inaccurate. That is uncertainty. So this is what we call as Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So this theory does not agree with Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Whereas in Bohr's theory, we can exactly define the exact location as well as the momentum of electron while this is orbiting in a particular fixed orbit. So this is what we call as Bohr's theory. So this is basically the theoretical portion of the Bohr's theory. In Bohr's theory, we have defined is the theory which first defines the atomic structure based on the quantized energy level. Means energy is not a continuous process, but this is a discontinuous process in the form of small packets.